First of all, science fiction. It's not something that... I suppose you were writing Doctor Who at the time. Is that how it occurred?
Well, no, that was coincidence, actually. I never actually thought of myself as a science fiction writer. I thought myself primarily a comedy writer, and I became a science fiction writer simply because I exaggerated so much. So in the story of Hitchhiker, it starts off with Arthur Dent. His house gets demolished to make way for a new hyperspace bypass. And I was really looking for a way of, what do you do after that? Well, the Earth gets demolished. At that point, you're stuck with science fiction because there isn't any Earth left.
Where did you get the idea for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Lying drunk in a field in Innsbruck.
That's the place.
It is, yes. I keep on trying to find the field again.
Get drunk and get a new idea.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it didn't come into fruition immediately, did it?
No. In fact, all I thought of at that point was the title. This was many, many years ago, but even before I went up to university. And I was lying drunk, and the sort of stars were sort of swirling around my head. And I had a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to Europe, and it occurred to me that somebody ought to write a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as well. It didn't even occur to me it was going to be me who would do it. It just seemed like a good idea that somebody should do. And it was only after I'd started writing what became Hitchhiker, which was originally going to be a series of different programs called The Ends of the Earth, in which the Earth ended for a completely different reason in each program. And then, whilst I was writing that, the idea of the guide surfaced again in the back of my mind, and that gradually took over and formed the whole thing.
Is it a danger when you're writing about sci-fi like that, the technology will overtake you?
Well, I get very overtaken by technology myself. I mean, part of what I'm writing against is myself, because I am a most terrible gadget freak. I mean, I have a house full of the most bizarre gadgets, and part of what I'm doing is, in fact, making fun of myself for that. So, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about whether, something you invent is actually going to happen or whatever. I mean, I'm making fun of the people who are then going to use it.
Yeah, about the Galaxy, all sorts of spin-offs, the radio, the TV, the records. There was going to be a film as well, wasn't there? What happened to that?
Well, this is a very good question, and one I ask from time to time. I went over and spent 6 months in Hollywood in 1983. And because you hear of all the sort of things that happen to people who go to Hollywood, you think because you know about them, they won't happen to you. And you go and you sit there, and day after day goes by, and everything that happens to people that go to Hollywood happens to you. And I got very, very miserable there. I mean, there are two things you basically miss if you're English, living in Hollywood. One is irony, and the other is oxygen. And, you need both of them. I eventually sort of gave up. And myself and the producer, we could never quite agree about how it was going to go. And every time I rewrote it, it got worse from both our points of view.
And were you surprised that the thing was such a success? The books were such an enormous success in America.
Yes. Well, I think if I wasn't, I would have to be mad not to be surprised.